Hey guys, welcome to our goal setting webinar for today. My name is Johnny. I'll be your presenter. I am really passionate about goal setting and I really love helping others achieve their goals as well. Today we're going to learn how to set goals in a really structured manner that's easy to follow, and also the process that it will take to achieve your goals in the gym so you can sustain these results in the long term. These principles can be applied to setting goals in any aspect of your life. For today, we're going to be setting goals specifically for the gym. So let's start off by looking at the benefits of goal setting. A lot of you guys may have set goals in the past and you've probably used your traditional SMART goal setting structure. There's some of those aspects included in today, and I've adopted a few other principles that I think are important and mashed it all together into a really effective system. So the benefits of goal setting for me, number one, first and foremost, it's greater clarity. You've got a greater sense of direction. I like to think of going on a road trip in your car. If you don't know where you're going, you're probably going to drive around at all sorts of random places. You'll eventually end up at a destination. It may not be the one that you wanted to get to, or it may not be somewhere that you were happy with. It's because right from the start, you hadn't set yourself any direction in the GPS. You hadn't set a destination. So number one, first and foremost, it's really important to have crystal clear clarity on your goals in the gym. Number two, you need conviction. And the benefits of setting really effective goals is you have added conviction or an enhanced sense of belief. And for a lot of people, the perceived reality of actually achieving their goals can be quite low, so they take no action. But if you actually have belief that you're going to achieve your goals, and these goals are truly meaningful to you and those around you, then you're gonna push through barriers and tough times because of the added conviction that you have. So it's really important that you have clarity and conviction in your goals. And that's going to lead to number three, having great confidence. If you have a really good confidence in your goals, you're going to take more action. And the more action you take, the more achievable your goals become. And then the more likely you are to be able to set and achieve even bigger goals than the ones you have now. So it's really important that you have confidence in the action you're taking. You won't have that confidence without the clarity and conviction. And then number four is commitment. It's really important that you have commitment to your goals and increased accountability. You'll know that the more accountability you have, both to yourself and being accountable to others, the more likely you are to achieve your goals. So those are the 4 C's of goal setting. And throughout this process today, we're going to cover all of those aspects of goal setting so that you have clarity, conviction, confidence, and commitment. So you can set yourself up for success in the gym. Now let's look at the types of goals, because when it comes to the gym, most of us are just really familiar with surface level goals. Fat loss and muscle gain, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's the start of what will motivate you to join the gym. The surface level, something you just want to change cosmetically about yourself. Maybe a little bit deeper than that is what we call performance level goals. That's your strength and fitness. We can measure those at PPS in the gym. And they also form part of your goals here and are really important because, once again, your performance-based goals are going to impact your surface level goals. The stronger you get or the fitter you get, more than likely is going to have an impact on those surface level goals as well. So both of those are really important. And today we're going to be setting both surface level and performance-based goals. And number 3 is habits. This is where most people start to fall apart because they can set surface level goals, they can set performance goals, but what they don't do is they don't set the actions that will help them achieve those goals, which are the habits, or what we call process-based goals. Today we're going to be looking at how we can set those in line with our goals so that we can sustain our results long term. And then a less measurable form of goal, but the most important one, the bottom of the iceberg, is your outcomes. How you're going to feel mentally, emotionally, what your confidence is going to be like if you achieve all of these goals. You can't really measure this because it can change day to day based on your emotions and how you perceive yourself, but the outcomes of these goals are going to be really important. It's what most of us are actually training in the gym for. and changes to our surface level goals, our performance, and the habits we build are going to help us change how we feel about ourselves, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and our own self-confidence or belief. Okay, so those are the 4 types of goals that we're going to be setting today in unison together as a system using the 4 C's approach. So what I want you to do, we're going to put together a little worksheet, but if you're old school like me, you can use pen and paper and get the same result. We're going to work through this together, and hopefully by the end of this seminar, you're going to have some really cool goals set, some actions to take, and in 12 months' time, you're going to be a whole new version of you. Let's get started. So as I pointed out earlier, step number 1 is direction. We need to know where we're actually heading on this journey. Okay, so if we're jumping on a plane and we don't know where we're heading, we just fall asleep on the plane, we wake up and we're in a country that we're not too happy to be in, that's not going to be great for you, okay? You need to know where you're heading before the flight takes off, and you want to know along that journey where the stopovers are going to be, where the pit stops are going to be in your trip. So that's what we do first and foremost, is we just need a broad sense of direction that we're heading in. So looking at our 12-month goal, let's just set a broad outcome that we want to work towards. Just close your eyes and picture yourself in 12 months' time. How do you look? How do you feel? How strong and fit are you? And what is your mindset like? Okay, so before we get too measurable, just think of just who this person is that you want to become. The stronger, the fitter, they look and feel differently about themselves. They have a bulletproof mindset and tons of confidence. Who is that person? You need to picture them before we get too specific. Now that we have an idea of at least where we want to be heading on this journey in 12 months' time, we can start to get a little bit more specific, okay? Now, you may not be experienced enough or qualified enough to know the exact numbers that you want to work towards to make your goal measurable. And you don't need to be yet, okay? You just want to have some ambition, some direction in where you want to head. So how will you measure success when it comes to achieving your goals? How can we quantify the result of the goals that you're working towards and see if you've achieved them? Okay, so first and foremost, what sort of body composition changes can we measure in the gym? What strength improvements or what performance changes would you like to see? Maybe you can measure it in clothes sizes and your coach can help you make it more measurable. Maybe that's the way you can measure success. But once you've got a broad idea of where you want to head when in your direction phase, we do need to figure out how to get a little bit more specific so that we can start setting measurable actions to work towards, okay? Now that you've got an idea, let's start adding purpose to the goal. This is the why. When people talk about what is your why or what is your purpose, this is what we're talking about. And a lot of people will just say, hey, I want to get stronger and more confident. And that's a bit of a no-brainer. You know, we know that that's quite surface level when it comes to setting yourself an intention or a purpose. Some other questions that you can ask yourself to improve the levels of conviction in your goal so that you can push through barriers and become unstoppable is, why is this goal really important to me? How would my life change if I achieved this goal? How will it impact others around me? And what would happen if I didn't achieve this goal? So if you do have a surface level goal like fat loss, you need to think like, if we go a few layers deep, what will the impact be of you reducing your body fat or dropping clothing sizes? How will that impact not only your own self-confidence and your own self-belief, how will that impact the lives of others around you? Because we are more likely to push ourselves to achieve goals if we have others relying upon us as well. It's in our human nature. Maybe you have kids, friends, family. Maybe it impacts your work life. But how would it impact not only your own life, but those around you? Because once you have other reasons to achieve your goals can become more important or more of a priority. And the question to ask is, what would happen if you didn't achieve this goal? What would the consequence be of another 12 months of you not achieving your goals in the gym? How will that impact your life in a negative way? And how will that impact the lives of others in a negative way? Is there other things in your life that you're working towards? maybe in your career, maybe financially, or maybe socially, that are reliant on you achieving these goals in the gym. We need to add this purpose so that we have greater intentions and taking action with our goals. And when it becomes hard, because trust me, it will become hard, without that purpose, without that strong why, you're going to let it overcome you and you're not going to achieve your goals. So we need to have that purpose. Take a minute to think about that and write down what your why is and your purpose is. Now that we've got some direction and some purpose, we can start breaking the goal down. Okay, so we know what the 12-month goal is. I'm using an example on the screen here if you're watching this seminar, but we've got a goal that we want to work towards in 12 months' time, and we've made it measurable. Okay, like it's pretty measurable, and it's really boring to just chase a goal for 12 months without having any sort of forms of reward or any pit stops along the way. You know, a 12-hour drive with only one destination and nothing in between will be a really boring drive. But if we've got a 12-hour road trip planned with our friends or family, and there's cool little pit stops along the way that show us that we're getting closer to our destination and achieving our goal, it becomes a lot more manageable and a lot more exciting. So we've got our 12-month goal broken down on the screen. We can break it down into 12-week pit stops, focusing today on what the first 12 weeks looks like. And we need to know where we're starting from as well. So we're reverse engineering this goal from 12 months backwards, okay? Looking at this 12-month goal that I've set in this example, starting with the outcome in mind, we have a goal of losing 12 kilos body fat that will get this person down to 15%. We want to deadlift 150 kilos. That's a performance-based goal. And here's two goals that are a little less measurable, but will be outcomes of us becoming this person. We want less daily hip pain. And we want to wear, one day, we want to wear either a bikini or boardies to the beach, depending on your gender. But this person, being in 12 months' time, it's going to be summer. They've never gone to the beach and felt comfortable. They've hid themselves or just avoided the beach altogether. And they want to set a goal where they can not only change their physical body composition, but also their daily performance and how they feel, as well as being able to finally wear a bikini or boardies to the beach. So that's a good little goal to work towards in 12 months for this person. Looking at them now, we look at where they're starting from. The goal was 15% body fat. They're currently measuring at about 25. They want to deadlift 150 kilos. Currently, they're deadlifting 70. They want less daily hip pain. Currently, they're a very, very sedentary person with daily hip pain from sitting down a lot and not doing much exercise outside of what they're currently doing. And they avoid the beach. It's summer now. They've never been to the beach this summer because they just can't be bothered dealing with the lack of confidence and feeling uncomfortable, which is something that we want to work on. So we know the destination. We know the starting point. Now, what will need to happen in the first 12 weeks for us to start moving forward towards this goal? You've got a few options. If you wanted to drop, say, 12 kilos of body fat in this example, we can split that up into equal 12-week segments, as well as our performance-based goals and all of that. What I would suggest you do in your first 12 weeks is you achieve as much as you possibly can, which is realistic for you, in the first 90 days. It's what we call a quick win, or we're looking to build momentum, okay? Now, if you're someone that has tried to achieve goals in the gym before and not succeeded, your confidence or perceived likelihood of achievement is probably quite low at the moment. So it would be really important that we take enough action to prove to ourselves that you are capable of achieving this goal and able to start shifting your identity. And it is actually a realistic goal for you to achieve in 12 months' time. So in the first 12 weeks, rather than splitting this goal up into quarterly segments, the first 12 weeks may be a little disproportionate because you're going to try and achieve just that little bit extra to prove to yourself that you are able to achieve this goal and potentially able to achieve more. So in the first 12 weeks, this person has set for themselves the goal of dropping their first 5 kilos. That's almost 50% of their goal. But 5 kilos in 12 weeks for them is achievable if they're wanting to put the work in. They're going to get their deadlift up from 70 to 100, and they are going to start doing daily movement. So there's nothing measurable there in terms of that goal, that aspect of the goal, but they are going to just move more in the first 12 weeks. So that's more of a process-based goal that we'll quantify soon. So from where they're starting from to now, they're looking at probably knocking out 33 to 40% of the measurable aspects of their goal in the first 12 weeks, so they can really start to build momentum, shift their identity, build up that confidence, and develop the habits that it would take to achieve and sustain these goals. So that's what something you might want to start looking at now, is writing down starting point, destination, first 12-week pit stop. Okay, it's a 12-hour journey. In the long run, we're going to knock out the first 4 to 6 hours before we do a pit stop, okay, and really knock out some of that journey. I hope that makes sense, guys, because what we're going to start looking at now is, we know what you want to achieve, and you may have been here before, but what are the things that stop you achieving your goals? These are your barriers. And when it comes to achieving goals in the gym, you need to be really self-aware, because without that self-awareness, you might be blind to the reasons that you're not achieving these goals, okay? So, and without that awareness, we're not able to come up with a preemptive plan to overcome these roadblocks or barriers. And we might be unaware of the habits we're currently doing that hold us back, and the habits we're not building to achieve these goals in the long run. Okay, so it's really important when doing goal setting that we stop and we work and we focus on the barriers part of this exercise. Okay, some questions to ask yourself: what would stop me achieving this goal? What has stopped me in the past? What will I do differently if faced with the same barriers this time? How will I react when faced with challenges? And what habits can I build to overcome these barriers? Okay, so what would stop me achieving this goal? Well, I'm a shift worker and a dad, and in the past, these shifts and my commitment to my family, making everything else a priority, has stopped me achieving goals in the past. So I need to be able to come up with a plan to help overcome those barriers, one clearly being time, okay? What can I do differently this time? Well, last time I just joined a 24-hour gym because I like the flexibility of the membership and it worked with my shifts. But in reality, I never went because I had no accountability to turn up to the gym. I didn't have a program, and I didn't put a strategy in place to help with my nutrition over those shifts. How will I react differently when faced with challenges? Well, usually I just give up and put it in the too hard basket. I let myself make excuses for myself. This time I'm going to create a stronger mindset, build more self-awareness, and find higher forms of accountability. And what habits can I build to overcome these barriers? So maybe it's dedicating time to meal prep. Maybe it's dedicating more time to myself with some journaling, some reflection, or some walking, and it's blocking out time to train 3 times per week. Who knows? But that's a scenario I've come up with to give you an example of what it looks like to identify barriers and come up with solutions to those barriers before you start the journey. When you enter a destination in Google Maps, it usually tells you what roads are blocked before you start the journey and comes up with a solution for you to have a more pleasurable travel experience. That's exactly what we're doing here. So you don't face those barriers when it's too late. Okay. All right. So we've got goals, outcome-based goals. We've got barriers. Let's look at the process. Now, this is where most people fail. Most people can come up with some fancy, cool goals and write them down on the goals board or on a bit of paper. They can write down their barriers and they can say they're going to do all this stuff. But what most people don't do is identify the actions they need to take to achieve these goals. But most importantly, not just achieve them, actually sustain the goals. You know, a lot of people can do a 12-week challenge where you have to, eat a lot less, do a lot of exercise, do all this cool stuff, but not much happens after the 12 weeks. And most people put that weight back on. or go back to their old identity. And you may have been in that situation. What we want to be doing here at PPS is setting goals, setting actions, and making these habits part of your lifestyle so you can sustain the goals. It just becomes a new version of you. So that is the process. What we did was we identified what the first 12 weeks looks like in a measurable sense. Now we're going to identify what the first 30 days looks like in an action-taking sense, okay? What do I need to do to achieve these goals? So if we look at the actions for the first 30 days for this person, or the habits they're going to build that they don't currently possess, they're going to become more active. So they're going to train 3 times per week and walk 30 minutes a day. They're going to eat breakfast. That's their nutritional-based action. And they're going to start drinking 2.5 liters of water, which is more of a health-based action. So we've got physical, nutrition, and health. Okay, 3 sort of aspects that we can build habits around in the gym that will contribute to the outcomes we want to work towards, the identity we want to shift. Your 3 to 4 actions might look different to that, but the actions I've set for this person have been quite achievable. They haven't been too overwhelming, and they're starting from the ground up, okay? We're not being perfect yet. We're setting actions this person can achieve every single day or every single week that are achievable. They challenge them enough, but they are manageable and help them build momentum over time, because we want to then scale these habits every 30 days to make them slightly more challenging as our goal, as we get deeper into our journey to achieving our goal. Okay, that's the process. I'll just recap those tips though for building habits. Start small and build momentum. Most people that go all in are also all out. So start small, build momentum, look for those quick wins to build up your confidence. Only work on 2 to 3 habits at a time. It looks like I set 4 here, but the 2 top ones are both activity-based habits. Make them scalable. So if we have a look at these habits are scalable. If I'm drinking 2.5 liters of water per day, I can scale that to 3 and then 3.5. If I'm training 3 times a week, I can scale that to 4 or 5. And I can walk 30 minutes a day, I can scale that to 45 and 60. Okay. And then the nutritional habit is currently eating breakfast. That can become scalable. I can then start to track my food and so forth. Okay. So make your habits scalable, track them. Make your habits measurable, because you're more likely to be accountable or aware of how you're progressing. So make sure you're able to track your habits. Be accountable to someone. That can be a coach or a peer. Identify the triggers that would, first off, trigger you to follow the habit, and secondly, trigger you to follow the opposing habit or the habits that are stopping you achieving your goals. Know what triggers you so you can form a solution there or change the loop. And relate your habits to your goals and purpose. They need to be relatable, because you've got that same why or that same purpose that drives you. It drives your actions, not just the goal. Okay, so make sure they all relate to each other in one system. Now, the reason we do set those habits or look at those process-based goals, because the process of transformation or goal setting is an identity shift, okay? It's not weight loss. It's not muscle gain. It's the person that you become along the journey, because that's the outcome of the goals that you're setting and the action you're taking, and that's how you stay that person and don't revert back to your former self, okay? So it's a really cool exercise once you identified your goals and the process to achieving those goals, how you're going to overcome those barriers, to identify who you are now, and once again, who that person is going to be, so that you can work on shifting that identity, okay, which would have happened throughout this directional phase if we've followed all of those steps. You can see in this example, this person, at the moment, they're inactive, they're low in energy, they're lacking confidence, they're sore all the time from being sedentary, and they just feel unhealthy. And the process of transformation through goal setting will be that person becomes an active person. That starts to be how they identify themselves, as an active person. They have loads of energy. They're just filled with self-belief. Maybe they tackle other goals outside of the gym that they never previously would. They're pain-free, they're strong, and they're fit. That just becomes who they are when they wake up in the morning. And knowing that's the person you want to become is really important, because you just keep tying not only your outcome-based goals, but your process-based goals to that identity shift, okay? That sort of would wrap up a lot of the directional part of the goal setting. You should have lots of clarity now. You should have a lot of conviction as well. You know what your purpose is. Now we need to identify the types of accountability that we can have to achieve our goals, so that we're really confident, but we also have that support and accountability when we face barriers, so this time we can overcome them, okay? So there's lots of forms of accountability you can have, and I recommend pretty much all of the above that we have listed here. Number one, we are always more accountable to others, okay? So it's really important that we are reporting to a coach or a peer that we respect, okay? So they can hold us accountable, check in on us frequently, and hold us accountable to our actions and goals. So, you know, at PPS, you've got like your weekly check-in forms. You've got your coach checking up on you regularly. If you're in the training groups, your peers usually check up on you and follow up on you as well. So you've got that accountability to your coach, but you've also got that a social accountability, I should say. That's really powerful stuff. And that's the start of having accountability. If you're just starting this journey, you're probably not in a place where you can hold yourself as self-accountable as you need, unless that's just generally in your nature. But having that accountability to others is your first step, okay, and respecting those forms of accountability. After that is self-accountability. So some form of self-accountability is going to be important to develop along the way in this journey, okay? You might not have it straight away, but without self-accountability, you're not going to be able to achieve your goals in the long term, because you're always going to be reliant on others. So being able to develop some forms of self-accountability are important. And that's why I think having a strong purpose or having strong conviction is really helpful, because a lot of that comes from self-accountability. And then your other forms of accountability is measuring and managing everything. So what you can measure, you can manage. That old saying in one of our philosophies at PPS, having that data is accountability, okay? So if it is frequently weighing yourself in, is it a frequent body composition scans, weighing, measuring, tracking your food, becoming aware there, tracking your training attendance or your performance in the gym, being able to track your habits, okay, your walks, how much water you're drinking, how much you're sleeping. A lot of that is data, okay? And it might be quite overwhelming for people, but it does provide a ton of awareness and a ton of accountability, which really drives you towards achieving your goals. And then something that's probably less measurable, but is really good for your mindset and does help develop more awareness and accountability as well, is reflection and journaling. So being able to reflect daily, you know, how well did I work towards my goals today? What actions did I take? What did I not do so well? What will I do differently tomorrow? What am I proud of? I think is really important to be able to reflect on your journey and not only constantly look for areas of improvement, but also look at yourself and be proud of yourself and count your wins as well. And when counting your wins, you can look at the lessons that you've learned or the lessons you can learn to help achieve your goals even greater, okay? So I think reflection and journaling is a really important step in the accountability or awareness structure when it comes to achieving your goals as well. And we provide you with systems to do that at PPS through your check-in forms and when chatting to your coach as well. So just before we start to wrap things up, let's just quickly go back and recap. We'll look back at the 4 C's first and foremost. So we wanted to gain clarity first and foremost, so we set ourselves a 12-month goal. We made that goal measurable, and then we broke it down into 12-month segments with the first 12-week segments, with the first 12 weeks being the one we're really focusing on to help us build momentum and confidence. We then looked at how we could add conviction or belief to our goals by having a stronger purpose. We looked at what action we can take, which was going to give us confidence. There was 2 parts of that. We had to identify what would stop us achieving our goals. Then we had to identify what actions we're going to take over the next 30 days to build up our confidence. And then we looked at what commitment we have to our goal, which is increasing our accountability both to ourselves and to others. So really simple process, guys, that incorporates the SMART goal setting process plus some other aspects. We have outcome broken up into measurable chunks. Most people do that already, but what they don't do is they don't identify barriers. They don't set habits and actions, which we've focused on a little bit more of today. We've focused on building quick wins to build momentum, and we've focused on how we can be held accountable to our goals to help us achieve them and sustain them. Okay, so a simple outcome-based and process-based structure here, and I've tied them to some relatable goals into the gym for you guys. At the end of this 12 months, this person will be leaner, fitter, stronger. They'll have less daily pain, and they'll be more confident going to the beach and maybe just showing off a little bit more of their skin. Okay, so that's our goal setting process, and that might be helpful for you guys who have set goals in the gym before, maybe not achieved them, or you currently have a goal and you're just not sure on how you're actually going to go about achieving it. Okay, so we've been able to break it down and to make it into more achievable sections and write down into even daily actions you can be taking almost immediately. So just some final tips as we start wrapping up this goal setting process. Number one, build quick wins, okay? Don't underestimate the power of getting quick wins under your belt. You want long-term goals. You want to be able to take short-term action that builds momentum and confidence, because that's going to help you continue to push towards your goals, especially when faced with barriers, okay? That's what we call your perceived likelihood of achievement. The more likely you believe you can achieve your goals, which you need to do by just proving it to yourself, the more likely you are to commit to the journey. Number two, use ranges when setting goals, okay, and habits to work towards. If you've set the habit to walk 45 minutes a day, give yourself some wiggle room, okay? If you walk 30 minutes one day, 50 minutes another, it's okay. Don't be too stringent on the actions and goals that you set. Give yourself a healthy range to work towards that you'll be happy with achieving and working towards, because nothing's perfect, and it really shouldn't be perfect. It should be a journey that allows for a flexible approach, but you've still got that solid outcome that you want to work towards. In this example, if the person wanted to wear a bikini to the beach for the first time, or boardies, they said they needed to be 15% body fat. Maybe they got to 18%, but maybe they still saw themselves in the mirror and were really confident going to the beach for the first time wearing a bikini or boardies. The number was a guide, but the outcome was still something they wanted to work towards, and they achieved it, although the number was slightly different, and the actions were probably different as well. They had a range about them, but the intention was true. Goals must be achievable. Tip number three, obviously, we've been speaking about it today, the perceived likelihood of achievement. Your goals must be achievable, but you don't want it to be too achievable, because we get lazy. It's just in our nature. If we know we can achieve our goals without putting in too much work, we're not going to put in too much work. They need to be challenging enough to keep you motivated and interested, but also achievable enough that you actually feel like it's possible to work towards the goal. And then that brings us to tip number four. The question we get asked all the time, what's realistic? What is actually realistic to help me achieve my goals? The question comes back to you. Depends on your time frame that you'd like to achieve the goal, and it depends on the actions you're willing to take and what's really realistic for your lifestyle in the long term. If you're in a really tough position, the next 12 months is just looking really hectic with work, you're going to have to align your goals with that if you think that's going to slow you down. If you've got the year ahead of you and you can't foresee some huge challenges, you might be able to put a little bit more pressure on yourself. And you would want to review all of this every 12 weeks. At each checkpoint, you've still got your long-term outcome. What does the next 12 weeks look like, depending on how my life is evolving and changing as we progress through the year? Okay, so those are my 4 tips on top of everything else that I've taught you today. I have one last final thought and one last question for you. What action can you take today to move towards your goals? You've gone through this goal setting process. You've got everything lined up, your 12-month goal, your 12-week checkpoints. your 30-day actions, your barriers, and what you're going to do to overcome these barriers. You've got some accountability systems in place. You must take action today. What can you do right now to move towards your goals? Maybe you go out the door now and you take a 30-minute walk and you start the habit. Maybe you start drinking more water right now. You're gonna achieve 2 liters of water today, or maybe you head to the gym tonight and you get that first session in for the year. But after all of this, the best thing you can do for yourself and your confidence, your belief, and perceived likelihood of achievement is take action today, because the little snowball starts to build momentum and it gets bigger and bigger the more action you take over a consistent period of time. I hope that helped, guys. If you don't have access to the goal setting worksheet, let me know. I can send you a digital copy and can work through this. Or like I say, if I'm old school, there's nothing like putting pen to paper and nutting this out, because it's probably more likely to sink in, okay? I hope that helped, guys. If you have any questions, let me know on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you very much.